Hi Aquarius, welcome to your June 2019 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on with this reading, but I've been interrupted twice, and the second time I was almost done. And then I was like, humana. I couldn't think straight, so I'm just starting over again. It used to be so nice when you could just edit videos easily. Even when you buy a program, to me, it doesn't seem like it's easy to do. I don't know if it's just me or what, but anyway, I'm going to start over again. The heart of the matter is the Three of Pentacles. To me, this is great for money. The number 3 is a number of abundance and creativity, and this is a 3 universal year. So this is a theme for all of us. For you specifically, about being able to manifest abundance in a way that is joyful, because the number 3 is a number of joy, just like a lighthearted energy. It's funny because the third house is Gemini, and that has that same vibe to it. So maybe there's some connection that way. But, one thing I wanted to say too about this card is if you look, this is the Rider-Waite deck with Pamela Coleman's illustrations. Does that look to you like a church setting where there's like a couple and they're dedicating their child to the church? If you know the particular symbolism of this Rider-Waite card, not just the Three of Pentacles in general, but what these figures represent, please write below. I've been looking for a book that is kind of like a definitive guide to the symbolism in Rider-Waite. There's one of them that is a very old one. It might have even been by Waite himself, but it's much more esoteric. It's a little bit less of a straightforward practical thing that I'm looking for. But anyway, the Three of Pentacles I think does even connect to children, because 1 plus 1, one adult plus one adult can equal a third person. And so the idea of creation, I just mentioned creating, well, children can be created. And 3 is also about bodies. I mean, not 3, but Pentacles is about money, but also material nature, including the physical body. So yes, this could be that even pregnancy, the Empress card is number 3 in the Major Arcana of the Tarot, and that connects with pregnancy and motherhood. So we can say it's possible that there's something on tap for some of you, that you're expecting a child, or that you are bringing in a child, ushering in a child in June. But this is also the card of, this is the Architect's card. So that idea of kind of creating this structure in your life, or this creating something that will have a lasting impact. I live in the Chicago area, and when I go downtown and I see these buildings, I love taking pictures of the angles of the buildings, because I often wonder if the architects 100 years ago, or whenever it was, I probably should be a little bit more knowledgeable about the dates of some of these buildings. Let's say it was in the 20s or the 30s. If they really had this eye for the future, I'm assuming that architects generally do, and that's why they build them so solidly, but they're works of art. But they're functional, and I think that's the perfect kind of combination of the Three of Pentacles, is that there is a creative element, but it's also a practical element at the same time. So this can also be a situation where perhaps you're working at a place where you feel this great camaraderie with your coworkers, where you really feel like you're syncing up, you got those creative juices flowing, and you're getting things done as a team. like you have a great team. In the past position here, we have the Eight of Cups. So this is a card of feeling emotionally, not plugged into something anymore. Maybe you kind of gave up on something because it hasn't really fulfilled you. It doesn't fulfill you anymore. Maybe at one time it did, but it doesn't anymore. And so you were looking for a better opportunity. Well, it looks like you have found it. And, there's always the possibility that this is a personal relationship, and the same thing would apply. And it might even be connected to particular elements, like walking away from water in favor of earth, which, if this is literally true, Aquarius, neither water or earth energy is on its face compatible with air energy, because the air and the fire signs are the ones that are both masculine signs that have that affinity for one another, the love of freedom, the love of individuality. The earth signs are the builders. But one great thing about earth, and I can see the common traits between earth and air, is this detachment, this love of logic versus emotion, which the cups are really about. So if you were with a Scorpio, I really associate the Eight of Cups with Scorpio. That could certainly be like, get me out of here, because you're just not that type of person. Scorpio is, a square with you, and you may be attracted to this person, especially physically, but you just can't see eye to eye, because, the water signs are very, especially a sign like Scorpio is very intense and emotionally demanding sometimes. And you, I have like a really interesting mind. So some things pop in my mind, and now I'm thinking to myself, what if this is like a spirit guide who has a, hilarious sense of humor? Because a lot of times, even when I'm alone, I get like, the thoughts that I think entertain me. And sometimes I wonder, maybe they're not my own thoughts, some of them. But sometimes I feel like I'm witnessing life with somebody else there. Like, look at this like when I'm walking around. So what came into my mind is that you have 0 F's to give. That was what came into my mind. And I don't usually say it, but I thought it was funny. Because I was saying, a water sign is very, personally, invested in their emotions. And I was going to say, while Aquarius has 0 F's to give. And really, I'm being facetious. Or my spirit guide is being facetious. But the thing is that, and I'm saying this because I don't really feel like I have direct contact with spirit guides or anything like that. But now I'm starting to wonder, maybe some of these thoughts I'm having aren't really my own. Sometimes I think that, but they're entertaining to me. So the point being that can be very disruptive to your life because of your makeup. And of course, I get the inevitable Aquarian who says, that's not true. I'm very, very emotional. We're talking about archetypes. You may have, that's what's so important about looking at the moon sign. Your moon might be in Pisces. You might have Mars in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, the moon in Cancer, and you may be more emotional than what we would associate with Aquarians. But I'm talking about that basic Aquarian template, is very much about, let's be reasonable, let's be analytical, and let's be intelligent about this. And let's not be emotional and be, let's not be hysterical, is basically. And the higher message is the Page of Wands. So this is about, maybe feeling like there is a lot there's a lot of good news happening, a lot of good things to talk about, but also new beginnings that feel very passionate, that feel very joyful. So if you have come out of a difficult emotional period, Aquarius, you may be feeling like things are lightening up in June, which makes sense because, astrologically, at least for the first few weeks, the sun is in air energy, and that is a trine to you. Gemini is a trine to you. So that would make perfect sense. What is coming in is represented by the Tower. By the way, one of the times when I started this reading, there was landscaping happening, and it sounds like they have come back on my street again. So in case that's what's happening, oh good, I think they just went by. So what's coming in, or the advice, is the Tower card. The Tower card is a card that I have made friends with because I see it now as a sense of release. A release of a thought form, a prison, an idea that has kept you under its sway. A situation that has kept you feeling like you are beholden to it for some reason. Or a relationship, the same thing. Especially if a relationship that has felt a bit, suffocating and oppressive. Okay, I just realized that I forgot to talk about this card. So let me talk about this first because this is really important. What crosses you, what is the challenge, is the Ten of Cups. And this is a card of happily ever after. Marriage is also, family, harmony. This is in the challenge position. So basically, how I read this, especially if we're talking about personal relationships, if you've come out of, for instance, a marriage that was pretty tough on you and that, kind of took its toll, you may be having like wonderful new beginnings, or, but you may still question that this is really going to happen. You may be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Also, I would say, too, is that with the Ten of Cups in the challenge position, Ten of Cups can be happily ever after. So you may feel somehow that your happily ever after never came. And you may be a little bit sad about that. The Eight of Cups, to me, can be a card of turning your back on a situation that, is no longer serving you, but you may feel a sense of regret, a sense of, failure about it, that it didn't work out the way that you had hoped. And with the Ten of Cups, again, you might have put your faith that that was going to be the thing, and it didn't work. And, even if you attract something good right now, it doesn't mean that you're not still sad about what could have been. You know what I mean? So that's okay. One thing I want to go back with the Page of Wands is, as spirit, because this is the spiritual message, I would say, like advice could be to speak about your triumphs. Did I say triumphs? Triumphs. And your good news, like start spreading the news. I remember I had the Page of Wands in one reading, and I called the reading "Start Spreading the News," and someone was like, "Why are you calling it such?" Because the Page of Wands is about good news, and sometimes we have to be our own, town crier and say the good things that are happening rather than complaining, rather than looking for the thing that isn't good. That means, that's kind of like putting positive thinking into action, into motion, in a very tangible way. So rather than, like, if you've had an emotional disappointment, and if something happened within your family that feels a little bit, uncomfortable, maybe you've maybe this is like a second marriage, and you're expecting, or maybe it's not even a marriage, but you're expecting a child with somebody new, and it's going to affect your, first family, your children from a first marriage, or if you're anticipating that. That's just something that is part of the growing pains, when you're changing something in your life and you can't really avoid it. The Tower card is about, sudden change. And I had said, I really think this should be a card connected to Uranus. And people have said, no, it's actually Mars or something like that. And I don't, I really feel it can be like a sudden shift. But it can be something very good. And that's what people forget. It may really kind of like shake things up. But this may be something you need to do on your part, that you need to really cut something off decisively. Maybe there's a relationship like an ex-husband, ex-wife, that you need to finally cut because you thought that you could be friends. That is what Aquarians always want to do, is be friends with everybody. And you know what? You can't always go there. Because if this person is a narcissist, they're going to try to keep you on the hook. And even if you go on with your life, the Three of Pentacles, and you're doing your thing, that person has an uncanny sense of coming in right when you least expect them. Maybe that's what the Tower card represents. But you might have to just kind of like pull the plug, and you've been trying to do it kind of incrementally or something like that. I don't know. This could be like, falling in love. If the Three of Pentacles is a card of work, you may fall in love with, maybe you fall in love with a coworker, and it's like lightning strikes or something. It's just like love at first sight. Could be something like that, not knocking your socks off. The outcome, I did pick an additional card because this Eight of Swords is a card that kind of speaks to oppressive a situation that perhaps has to do with, again, that Ten of Cups and that Eight of Cups, where you feel tied to somebody. I do feel that this card, though, is your self-limiting beliefs, and this would be about moving forward in your life. Aquarius is a fixed sign, so Aquarius doesn't necessarily change, enact change very easily, even though you are, associated with Uranus, and you would think that you would be all about change. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes change is, hard to come by. At the deepest level, I should say. And you may find, maybe this is a physical relationship that you keep coming back to because you do have that sexual chemistry, but it's not good for you overall emotionally, for your emotional well-being, your mental health. Could be one of those deals. It can be that, again, if this is some kind of like business that you try to start for yourself and it just didn't pan out, maybe you have a great situation with coworkers, but you still can't get over the fact that it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. Perhaps with the Eight of Swords, you need to overcome certain rigid mindsets, oppressive mindsets. I always believe that you can, have your own business and have a day job at the same time, as long as, your own business isn't that demanding, or the day job. You know what I mean? So maybe you just have like these ideas of what you have to do in order to have a business that were not really accurate, and you just kind of, made some distorted decisions that you could still have this, and maybe that, I see with the Ten of Cups is almost like a delayed reaction, that your happiness may be delayed because you still need to get some things going, perhaps. But you have to have faith that you're going to eventually get what you want, you know, and things like that. And then I got the last card is the King of Wands, which is really a great card of, we got the Page of Wands and we got the King of Wands. So this is like a boss, you know. This is you. Really, this is a card of great personal power, okay? And I do feel that way. I mean, I feel like your creative and financial abundance could be heating up here. And the thing is, it's like, with the King of Wands, we're talking about somebody who has autonomy over their life. Now, this does not mean that you have to work for yourself to achieve this autonomy. This could be in the context of working for somebody else. It simply means that you don't feel like you are, kind of like this card, like you are hamstrung, like your hands are tied, that you can't do anything for yourself. This is you stepping into your power, I feel. And maybe it comes when you let go of some of these things, these ideas that hold you back and keep you feeling and playing small. Because the King of Wands is larger than life. So, and the Three of Pentacles is a card of real tangible prosperity in the form of a creative pursuit, perhaps. And feeling like you have the ability to do something that makes, that expresses yourself, makes its mark on the world, but that you still have that sense of autonomy and power and, healthy ambition, healthy drive, and feelings of success that come from your own creative self-expression. Okay, that's what I have for you, Aquarius. That sounds good to me. If you would like a personal reading, most of my readings are astrological in nature. You can check me out at rainamoonastrology.com, and I do have the link below. Have a great June. Bye.